No, just go for it.
So I think it's exciting that we got Ed on the team for Bring Your Own Identity.
Yeah, that was great. Nice timing.
I think that a lot of the people that participated in the past in Free Trust and Scenario and Divvy will come back on board if they see that something's happening. For a long time, we were just in limbo. We couldn't even run the dumb glue server to bring up an open ID. And, you know, I should have made that top priority. But, you know, I sort of made a rule. I'm not going to do it alone. You know, unless we're sharing the knowledge, and I'm, you know, so that I'm not maintaining this 100% by myself. Right. I'm not going to do it. So if people showed up on Saturday, we worked on it. And we had, you know, a number of issues. Things are getting easy. We had certificate problems. We had problems with there being bugs in some releases of the community edition for what we wanted to do. The email notifications were always a problem. We didn't have a good SMTP server, et cetera, et cetera. And now we're, you know, I'm looking at setting up 2 IDPs. I'm looking at setting up Glue, actually 3. I'm looking at setting up Solid. I think WebID is much closer to where we want to be with RChain. I mean, they use access control lists. We want to go beyond access control lists. But they also have a delegation of permissions that we can use to generalize our permission system. Which is very, very interesting. And I think the WebID is very important because it makes the entire web our database.
Right.
Okay, that's a permission store that we control, you know, our own stuff. So, you know, I am, you know, I don't want to do one of these things. I want to do all of them. The other one is ForgeRock. Now has a UMA implementation. They've been touting the one how wonderful UMA is, and you're always looking for the button. Where can I find this? You know, how can I use it? And there was nothing. I don't know how long they've had it. You know, it could be a long time. But now when you go to the UMA page at ForgeRock, you know, you can download it right there and use it. And I don't know exactly what it is that you can use at this point, but I'm very interested to find out. Because that's what we need is UMA for the RChain membership.
Right.
That's what puts the user in control of their identity. That's the standard. And, you know, then we'll work with Sovereign, we'll work with everything else, and we'll have a model for how we're going to build this in RChain to some extent. Obviously, it's going to be different. I mean, UPort is different from Sovereign, and yet they're both self-sovereign identities. They're both identities we want to support. We want to bring you to be able to come in with a sovereign identity or a UPort identity or an open ID from somewhere else or even a social login, whatever. You know, the tools to do this are largely here already, you know, in terms of the open ID. Very powerful. You know, it allows attribute-based authentication. I'm over 21, but that's it.
Right.
You need a trusted. You have to be trusted to be your own identity provider, which means that the information you provide needs to be attributed to you by others. Okay, you're the best source in attributing stuff to yourself, but if it's not attributed to you by others, it can't. It's likely to not be trusted.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
but you gain reputation. I mean, if you never lied, then your information will be trusted, whether or not anybody attributes it to you. And that's the goal. Is to build trust, and economically in free trust, that's in Divi also. We reward you for creating an identity. You get tokens for building this strong identity, and helping to build the identity of others. Like on the street, give them an identity by saying, "Hey, there's a guy on 4th Street who I had this experience with." I said, whatever. And then finding unique identities is the next trick, and that's absolutely necessary for a democratic organization. You have to know what the unique identities are. And that's really what builds a true identity out of a collection of attributions that are unconnected.
Right. Well, it's funny that Ed showed up today, because one of the points I was going to bring up was the time of the meeting in regards to people on the West Coast. So I was a little surprised to see him there. I thought, well, it must be 3 in the morning in Seattle.
Well, he said the dog woke him up, so he joined. But it shows he was motivated to join, which is a good thing. And I think this would have helped all along if we had support in building identity in scenario. And it was mostly Dora seemed to be the stop. Ed and Greg didn't seem to be supportive. But then when we split, it wasn't clear that they were going to be supportive of the identity effort, which brought me into scenario. Freetrust.org was my effort, which gained a lot of steam a couple of years ago and then just died. Okay. And then that was absorbed by our company, Proven ID,
Right.
who was going to sponsor this, free trust, and has to a certain extent. But that organization now is also dwindling in participation, and basically until we have something ready to put a brand on, to put our logo on, everything we're doing is open source. We don't really need to act through the company when we're doing open source stuff. So, so until we, have a real proven ID product that we can support.
And is Proven Secure a sort of collective of people who are interested in this area that have banded together?
Yeah. In essence, it's it's colleagues that I've worked with over the years that have, back in 2006, I registered Proven Secure, and nothing came of it. It was, another one of my big ideas that didn't go anywhere. But then in 2010, colleagues were coming back to me. Hey, this security thing is big now. There's a lot happening, and my brother Bill took a lead. Okay, and we got a DARPA award for research in multi-factor quantification in biometrics.
Nice.
But at the time, I was a full-time consultant in the Shannon Laboratory working on multi-factor authentication and biometrics, but I couldn't really participate. And we didn't get anything out of the contract that I wanted to. I wasn't written in the proposal, so I didn't really have any say in what was done. But that's another story.
Okay.
In any case, we proved out, or we tested out the maximum relative entropy in quantifying authentication, which is very difficult. You have a million factors to combine. How much do you trust this identity? How much do you trust the factors of presence and identity and security and privacy? And there's some cool results for that. We came up with the trust token, where in a glance you can see how, in what quadrants a person is trusted in your circles.
That's nice.
So it's like an iris diagram, but with the person's avatar in the center. Or the picture, right? And basically the mathematical foundation to employ maximum entropy and Bayesian learning into developing meaningful values for trust, which of course has millions of dimensions, which is why we have to have an iris to visualize it. Diagram. I'm getting off track here. But proven secure, I'm getting some traction here. I think the digital life can be very helpful in there. We have a number of IIW members in there.
And I also see that we have a new name in the Bring Your Own ID Identity Project, Doc.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So I don't know if there's anything you want to add to the log for today. And I'm going to upload the video.
The video of this morning.
Right.
Good.
And I'm going to put the link in the chat there. In the not in the chat, in the log.
In the log. Good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that worked out really well. That Ed's dog woke him up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he had that diagram already. It was almost like it was intentional or something.
I know the dogs are amazing sometimes in what they do. I mean, we have to bow down and worship dog.
Yeah, they're tapped into a different level.
Yeah. I mean, I just lost I was married to Luke for many years. He got old and always a perfect gentleman. Everybody loved him. With my right arm. But he had a sense about where people were hurting. If they had a pain, he would come up and sniff it, and you know, it seemed like he had healing power that was rather special.
Okay. Were you once a Perl programmer?
Who?
A Perl?
Oh yeah, yeah. I did Perl. I wrote. I was stuck, having to do the complex travel products for Liberty Travel, and I only had people that knew HTML. I wrote in Perl. I wrote an HTML preprocessor, so to speak, that filled in.
Early days, huh?
That had markups designed to interface with the Liberty Travel backend.
Uh-huh.
So they could write the application essentially in their HTML pages, like Cold Fusion, sort of, but it was specifically tailored to their application. And then it's the Sovereign Bank with their complex banking projects and real-time loan and account fulfillment. We use Cold Fusion. That's sort of a way to get non-programmers to interact with the, build the application.
And today you mentioned Python.
Python's a lovely language. I like it. Blue is written in Java, and it's really JPython. But when you go into the control panel, you can choose just about anything that happens and override the built-in Java code that what you write in Python, which is compiled to the JVM. Okay, and it's like this is a dynamic system. You don't need to reinstall it.
Right.
You can just update the custom scripts to do what you want, like your multi-factor authentication. Okay, you just they have some examples that use different authenticators in Python scripts, and you just change them to call your stuff,
right?
Your authenticators, whatever. I mean, you want to go towards FIDO standards or something at some point, but right now we can just pack a little Python code to make any kind of authenticator we want, and to let the user choose what factors are necessary for someone to act as them on the internet.
Right.
Yeah, for a particular security level or whatever.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in the last hangout with Greg because he said that they had code working in all these different languages with one exception, and that was Python.
Yeah. Which is surprising because, Python is the rage.
Yeah. Yeah. It should be friendly and easy.
Yeah.
I saw that Ken was touching up the Bring Your Own ID document.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. He accepted and rejected a couple of my suggestions in there.
Oh, should we put him on the team? I guess we should.
Well, that was my question. I don't see his name in the team list, and he definitely saw it. But he was actually the suggestion that he rejected was I deleted some people, and he undeleted them. But now I can't find it there. I'm not sure, but I just, Google sends you an email when somebody accepts or rejects your suggestions. And this email came in, and I saw that Ken was busy doing that. And I thought, oh, good. Well, maybe those people are on board, but we haven't heard from them. And yeah, I don't see his name in the team member table, but maybe we should volunteer him. He's also doing some nice thinking about guilds and DAOs. I don't know if you've seen those things come across your screen.
What am I doing? Something went wrong with the video conversions. I don't know what it's uploading now.
Oh.
Well, sorry about that.
What, do you have a lot of JPEG noise?
No, the files were being converted. Not WordPad. Files were being, the video files from the Zoom were being converted. I'm sorry, I've been distracted here. But something happened during the conversion process, and it looks fine here.
Well, you have lots of compression errors or something. Beautiful.
No, what this said, I just started the upload of the video, but it said the file, it said double click to convert the file. So I guess I should cancel this. How do I cancel? I guess I hit this X here. Why does this show that? I know why. I accidentally went into the directory of the video we're creating right now, which is not converted. So, okay, we're back on track. I have the video uploading. Sorry about the interruption.
Okay, no problem.
Go ahead.
Is the Kantara initiative still extant?
Oh yeah, there's a number of Kantara people at IIW.
Okay.
They're sort of co-sponsors of the whole thing.
Okay. Because this morning when Ed and I were searching for UMA, they came up, and then you mentioned them. And I see...
yeah, we should have a lot of these links in our resources section or something. You know, it's like, where do you learn about identity, and you know, what are the main things happening? Sort of a, you know, a resources section or something. I don't know.
That's actually a really good idea, because then if people look at it and they say, hey, have you guys looked at this? Then it's already in the resources. There's so much to look at.
Right. And I guess I was focusing on the And we have most of these. Like I don't know that we have Cantera. They're either in the document already or in the log already, but you can't find them.
Yeah, right. So
I guess every once in a while we should scour them for gems that need to be moved forward.
yeah. Well, I'm looking at a doc from Kantara that is a draft of UMA core, but it's from 2015, so I wasn't sure if it was still relevant.
I believe it is.
Okay, good. It's huge.
Yeah. Well, as I get, remember it, and I have, I probably forget. For the most of it. It's sort of like as Ed went over the sovereign architecture today. I mean, there was so much that I've seen before, but you can't keep it all in your head at the same time. It gets messy.
Right.
But there's really just a few things we need. I mean, we're just delegating positions, really. So only a few things we need to use of UMA in order to have a functional system, basically functional system. And how much of UMA we're going to use or take advantage of is the question. We use what we need. And, we extend it where we need to. I mean, obviously, if they already have something to do, for what we want to do, we do it that way. But it's fundamentally extendable, like OpenID. It's how we use it. It's not as important as do we use to support the whole thing. I mean, we want to support the whole thing for maximum interoperability. But we do not want to actually use all the features ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's for sure.
And by jumping on existing packages that already do a lot of support, we use our effort in the short term and have a model to use when we create the next generation or iteration of this thing, or the Python version.
All right.
So I am creating an identity circle and a token circle, which we're changing to the social ledger circle. And you got to watch that Andreas Angelopoulos video. Ed posted it in the general channel. But he always amazes me. He's always right on. And has the right message at the right time, so to speak.
That's nice.
How come I can't find it? This is bizarre. Okay, here's the project. I don't know why I can't find it. Okay, the video link is in there. Did you put some more notes in the log?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've actually been putting some resources in the document, but I can get the log.
That's probably more important. I don't know that we need to say much more. I think the video says it all, right?
Yeah, the one interesting point, super interesting point that Ed made was he's thinking of hiring somebody for identity, yeah?
Interesting. Yeah, I guess I didn't pick up on that.
Oh, no, it's towards the end if you want to double check, but I'm sure he said that he's thinking of bringing somebody on board to work on identity.
Sweet. So I guess our task is to find somebody, huh?
Well, if we find somebody, then maybe we'll kill two birds with one stone there, huh?
Yeah, we definitely deserve some rocks. Well, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yeah. We can definitely distribute some rocks that way.
It would be interesting to see if he's willing to pay dollars or if he's going to pay rocks.
Yeah, I don't know how to interpret that. I mean, when I heard it, it sounded like he wanted to get somebody on staff or something, but maybe that's not how the cooperative is working.
I believe that, and I can never get their name right, not Pyrogenics, White States Company. I know they're working for rocks, at least in part.
Uh-huh. What is it, Pyrofex or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was great that they had a person or two in the community meeting, member meeting,
Right.
regular meeting. I can't remember her name. From Pyrofex was in there.
All right. Yeah, yeah. I don't remember her name either, but I did note that she was from Pyrofex, and I thought that was interesting.
Right, and one of the other people is Keith or Steve or somebody is with Pyrofex, and I can't remember who. But it's good that they're getting involved with the community and not working in the silo somewhere completely.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, that was her first meeting, and she was obviously checking out the group. But hopefully she'll be there every time.
Yeah. I don't know what it would take to resurrect the new group. We certainly don't have the interest there now. But there seems to be a general impression that they want only professional people. They don't want to onboard noobs, which is sort of why we want to offboard that from them, and bring introducing noobs without requiring resources from the team. Bringing people up to speed and having them contribute to building the community, which includes the identity.
Yeah, we need to do both.
Right, right. You know, the thing is, they don't have the time or the resources to bring people on, and so far, I haven't been successful in finding a community of people who want to learn this stuff collaboratively. And that's probably a cultural thing that people don't haven't bought into, you know, a democratic or sociocratic learning process.
Uh-huh.
And
Sociocratic should fly.
I know, and it's interesting to note, as I was noting in the Vivi meeting, is that it seems that sociocratic education is something that's talked about a lot, not implemented very much. There's no sociocratic schools you can sign up for, except BYOID.
Yeah, it's kind of bleeding edge, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's been tried in, they've tried, it's actually, let's see, it's been tried in the organization of the, or the governance of schools. But not really by the students. You know what I mean, there's a lot on democratic education.
Yeah.
And sociocracy, you know, has pretty much replaced, you know, that democracy is becoming a bad word in the sense that it's tyranny of the majority, groupthink, and easily corruptible, degenerates into a two-party system where you really have only two choices, and those are handpicked by the powers that be. So sociocracy is a structure that is well suited to enabling collective intelligence, and it could really revolutionize society. Sociocratic education is sort of a way to incubate this from the bottom up, together, teams together. The apprenticeship model, you know, the guild model, as Kendall would say.
In the meeting,
you know, like I said, you know, nobody showed up for WU meeting this week. So it's a non-project, really, and the turnout at my work studies has been very poor.
uh-huh.
Okay, now if I get a good coach, I get a turnout. So, that's an indicator of what's necessary. People don't feel like they can really help each other, even though everybody knows some different stuff. And you put them together and they can do something they couldn't do alone.
Uh-huh.
And, they can figure out how to approach the problem. And they can figure out what they need to know. And almost anything they know, there's all kinds of good resources on the net for them to learn it before the next week's meeting. If somebody takes responsibility to learn that thing that they need to know to do what they want to do. Everybody doesn't have to learn the same thing.
Right. In the meeting, the hangout on Wednesday, there's a guy named Kevin Valentine. And he also sent, he also posted in the GitHub identity issue, pointing us to the Decentralized Identity Foundation and the consent team. Do you know him? The Kevin?
I don't know. I don't think so. But I'm so bad at names, I may have.
Yeah.
I may not be connecting him. I did see that the DID Foundation is sort of like, it's important. And, I certainly know people I know people who are leaders of work groups that are included in DID. And I've been in contact with them. I haven't gotten a Slack invite that I know of from that group.
Okay.
But, it's the same stuff we worked at the same set of standards we were working on at IIW. And what they've done is they've basically created a Slack channel for each one of them and put a label on the top of it.
Okay.
But, it's an important organization, and they've cherry-picked standards that they're interested in, which have a good overlap with what I'm interested in. They're definitely worth pursuing, and I'm not a fan of Slack, but and I'm already in too many Slacks already, but that's an important one to be in, I think, to keep up. And the other thing is you don't have to know everything. As long as you know they're developing this standard and you have confidence in the people that are working on it, we really don't have to be involved. We just have to employ the standard.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be, I was involved in standards groups, back in the 80s. And I came to not like the process very much because they didn't get a consensus. They left out big holes in the standard, and then the standard became useless. But the process, the process sort of initiated in the IIW was much different process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in the sense, it's much less formal. It's open workshop format. I mean, there's no, they don't even have an agenda for the conference. It's like, we make the agenda.
Right.
Every morning, we make the agenda for the day. So it's really dynamic, and I was a little disappointed that we made no progress in a number of areas, but you have to take what we can get. We did make progress in the distributed identity, the BID, service discovery.
Right.
And this is, you know, that is beautiful. I mean, it's built on the OpenID model. It's the same, almost the same as OpenID service discovery. So, you know, it's building on the work that they did before. So it's very strange. Now, on the VRM terms, we made no progress at all.
Mm-hmm.
What are the terms that we want to have about our identity? What terms, in other words, corresponding to the privacy statement that we have to agree to in order to participate, we have our terms which the service provider has to obey. The basic basis of that is UMA. But, you know, the challenge is to have terms that the user understands and have a meaning that can be expressed as UMA. No, we can't expect that users are going to micromanage their permissions to everything. So we need general terms that apply to personal information, and then are then tweaked by the user to apply to them specifically. So, you know, and that every relationship a provider has with the user is different is okay, because the information the provider can use, they can use freely. I mean, they can use according to their agreement without any worry of liability, because they explicitly have gotten permission from the user to use it in the manner they're using.
Right. In the Trustworthy Identity Project doc, did you change the time?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'm also going to change the New York time. It should be 11, right?
Oh, I didn't see the New York time.
Right. You changed the UTC, which is what we should be using, but there's also a New York time there.
Yeah, I wanted to put New York time in there. I didn't see it. I don't know.
Okay.
Blind, I guess.
So 11 a.m. New York. Yeah, I guess that Ed, he's a real early bird, huh? He likes to get up at 5.
No, 6. There's 3 hours.
Oh, it's 3 hours. I thought it was 6 hours. Ah, I'm confused. Okay, I'm crossing the ocean with 6 hours. All right, so that would be, yeah. That'd be 8 o'clock for
Yeah. So are you as bad with numbers as I am?
Okay, that's not so extreme then. Okay. That means you can get up and, I don't know.
Yeah, we added, I think there was an error in there in hours from off New York time.
Okay, well, it's now all consistent. So next weekend, I'm on vacation. So unless we think it's really necessary, I won't be there. And if I am there, it's probably going to be a slow internet connection. Because I'm going to be on the island of Crete in a tiny fishing village.
Awesome.
So yeah, it should be nice. So some friends of mine are already there, and I'm going to join them.
You sail?
I have, and I've actually, the last time I sailed, it was a very long time ago, but it was, we started out from Seattle, and we went north to Canada and those islands up there. It was a long time ago. So
Well,
the answer,
Kendall,
yeah, I'm an amateur.
Kendall has his boat up there. You have to go sailing with him.
Who?
Kendall.
Kendall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, his boat's up there. Nobody's using it. The last 5 years or so, well, I sailed all my life, since I was 9 years old.
Uh-huh.
And, moving to Florida, I had this big dreams of getting a McGregor 27 and sailing around the Gulf, New Orleans, Galveston, Corpus Christi, Yucatan, Cuba, and Dry Tortuga, Keys, and back home again. My last hurrah. And I've been sailing exactly once since I've been down here.
Yeah.
I said, I'm too old to do it without a crew. That's doing everything for me. I have to get rich first.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. You can't do it alone.
Sell all my divvy tokens. But but I'm not steady on the deck as I used to be. I always was a little awkward physically, and the heat I can't take anymore.
Uh-huh.
The humidity. I'm out of breath constantly on the water, which is not a good thing. I need air conditioning. So, we went up to Bear Mountain and West Point a few times, around Manhattan, around Staten Island. Not Staten Island, Long Island. Great trip around Long Island. Around to Philadelphia a few times, a few trips in the Delaware, the Chesapeake Peak, and 2 or 3 times I went to Baltimore. So I had a lot of great trips, and I have to be
Nice.
satisfied with that. My brother was sailing in the Mediterranean recently. My brother, Bob, pretty much took care of the boats. My son and my brother Bob and I sort of cooperatively had a sailboat. I had one back last century, which I let fall into disrepair, and we gradually built up to a Catalina 25, which we could put on a trailer, and we took it to lakes. But it also, was a substantial boat. It had a swing down keel. But it was a substantial boat, which we sold.
Eventually, sure.
So we've diverged. Does that mean we're done? Or is there more to do? I put in the link to the video. I guess I should put some links into our new identity channel in RChain. Or do you want to do that?
Say that again. Which links?
Need to put in some links. I created an identity channel in RChain.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't notice that. Okay.
Okay, and I invited you and Ed.
Great. Okay.
And I guess I'll invite Kendall, although he doesn't participate in Slack.
Right. Okay.
Did you add him to the list?
I have Slack on my phone, so when you message me, I get it immediately. That works, but I don't read Slack very often. So if it's something important, give me a nudge or call me out.
Well, so what's the best way to contact you?
That Slack direct message, I always get that right away on my phone, so I think that's the best.
Yeah.
I mean, we could also do Signal or WhatsApp or Telegram, whatever, but the Slack seems to work.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about Slack is losing the history.
Yeah.
But no, I had brought up the right to be forgotten as an important notion of the sovereign model.
Right. Yeah, that was interesting.
He picked up on. I mean, that was certainly a topic at IIW. Along, you know, I mean, there's a simple set of things that a fairly short list of sort of the rights, whatever that we should be up front somewhere. One is the revocability,
right.
which is, I guess, the what you have to support in order to have that right of forgettability. You have to be able to revoke. And, you know, it's the same, you know, the other thing is you have to be able to recover your identity.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Jim, I have to go to another meeting.
Poor guy.
And it's a kind of a relaxed thing, but they're pinging me, so I'm going to sign off. I'll check the identity channel on Slack, and yeah, maybe we can start to make some noise now that we have Ed on board. That's really nice.
Absolutely, and this is, you know, this is the thing. You know, I think the community will get involved if they know that Ed is involved. You know, I think it's much more likely to get.
Yeah, it's a stamp, so stamp of approval.
And we, you know, we have a great challenge. You know, self-sovereign identity for the members of the co-op.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And,
yeah, we have a good challenge, no question about that. So people will have plenty to do.
Yeah. All right, guy. Take it easy.
Okay, you too. Ciao.